Good afternoon, my name is Zuniga. Today I will be presenting on why teachers should have mandatory training when it comes to teaching online. 2 years ago when the pandemic first started, no one knew that the world would go through a worldwide shutdown. And because of this, it affected students and teachers the most because we were so used to going to school every day and having a routine of going to school. And because of this, the routine felt off and it didn't feel the same. One of the current problems towards the pandemic was the fact that teachers were not being committed to their jobs due to the fact that they had a hard time teaching their class. They weren't enjoying it as much because of the pandemic, or they just did not like it at all. They're just used to teaching in class. On September 8th, 2021, on the article called "How the Pandemic Has Changed Teachers' Commitment to Remaining in the Classroom," Andrew Kemp goes on to say, "We find that during the pandemic, teachers have become less certain that they would work in the classroom." This pretty much tells me that teachers were not committed towards teaching in the classroom or weren't committed to their job as a teacher for the future. Another current problem was the fact that teachers did not know they're being understand when teaching their lessons. According to the article, Teachers' Voices on the Impact of COVID-19, Mary Lau says teachers did not know how to support hard-to-reach students. This pretty much tells me that teachers did not know how to reach out to those students who are hard to reach out to, because they may not have a Chromebook for class, or they may not have internet access to log in. So because of this, they had a hard time reaching out to those students who may need the most help or may have a hard time learning certain subjects. One of the problems towards this was the fact that many of the teachers were not prepared for this at all. When I say this, I mean when the pandemic first started and we were being taught from online, teachers did not know how to teach online because there was no training that taught them how to do this, so they had to learn all this on themselves. On December 3rd, 2020, Jim Solon says, in almost all grades, majority of students made some learning gains in both reading and math, but since COVID-19 started, gains were smaller in math. This pretty much tells me that in math, which is one of the difficult subjects, the gain was declining, and because of the pandemic, it was declining lower and lower each month. And I could see this happening because math is a subject that's easier to be taught in person than online. Another problem was the fact that some students did not have access to Wi-Fi at all. In the article, "Why did it take a pandemic for Monterey County to remedy inequities in education?" David Rodriguez goes on to say, of 78,000 students in Monterey County, at least 8,000 are still without internet. This pretty much tells me that the 8,000 students who did not have Wi-Fi had a hard time either completing work, showing up to class, or even having access to internet. And because of this, it was difficult for the teachers as well, because they did not know if the students were missing class on purpose or they just did not have internet access at all. One of the solutions that can help teachers better themselves for the future if there's another pandemic is getting feedback from their students as of right now. If teachers get feedback from their students, they'll be able to be better prepared and know how to and have a better way to teach an online class, because in the first year of the pandemic, I know for a fact it was very hard for teachers to teach online, and it was very hard for students to understand what was being taught online. So with feedback, this will not only be a help for the students, but it'll be a help for the teacher for other students in the future. Another solution that can help teachers is doing mandatory training. If they do mandatory training, they'll be able to learn how to use certain things, learn how to use Zoom, and be better prepared for the future. In conclusion, I believe teachers in California should take these mandatory trainings, because not only will it benefit them and the students, but it'll benefit for other students in the future who rather take online classes instead of in-person classes. And it will also prepare if there's ever a big pandemic like there was in 2020. Thank you.